I'd like to introduce next our comrade from the Venezuelan Embassy, Councillor Wilfredo Hernandez.
Well, thank you very much, comrades and friends, colleagues from the distinguished embassies present here at this event celebrating the October Revolution. I wasn't really prepared to give a speech today, but I will just briefly, on behalf of Ambassador Felix Plasencia Gonzalez, give you the best regards of, also on behalf of the Bolivarian government of Venezuela. And also, thank you for standing strong and together with the Venezuelan people in face of a current aggression that our country is
With USS Gerald Ford now in the Caribbean, the biggest aircraft carrier in the world, joining a fleet of other warships, Washington has upped the ante.
This is a counter-drug operation. The president's ordered it in defense of our country. It continues, it's ongoing. It can stop tomorrow if they stop sending drug boats.
The U.S. has struck at least 20 of what it says are these boats in the Caribbean and East Pacific, killing at least 76 people since September. But it's provided little evidence that the targets actually carried drugs, now prompting international backlash.
Those military operations are not compliant with international law.
From France and from British intelligence agencies, which have cut off cooperation with the U.S. on suspected drug trafficking vessels.
This lack of intelligence support from Britain is going to have a significant impact on the accuracy of the intelligence that the U.S. uses in prosecuting this so-called war on drugs.
Washington denies anything's happened with intelligence to jeopardize its ability to act. President Donald Trump suggests these operations also target Venezuelan President Nicholas Maduro.
They've been treating us very badly, not only on drugs. They've dumped hundreds of thousands of people into our country that we didn't want.
U.S. officials are reportedly proposing an attack on Venezuela, though Trump has publicly rejected it. Still, the U.S. has offered a $50 million reward for Maduro's capture, declaring him wanted for narco-trafficking. Maduro's response to all this? This week he mobilized Venezuelan forces to be ready for war. Sasha Petrusek, CBC News.
The Venezuelan government and the Venezuelan people are determined to maintain peace in the region. We're not going to fall into provocations by the U.S. government, and we are firmly determined to stand together within our people and stand in solidarity with you brothers from all around the world. Thank you very much.
And you can hear from the enthusiasm of the audience there that our comrades here are not only aware of the provocations and the war drive against Venezuela, but absolutely standing in solidarity with Venezuela against those war provocations. You know, at these events, we usually have representatives from the DPRK, North Korean Embassy. Today, for the first time in many years, they've not been able to make it, and we're very sad not to have them with us. But there's a great parallel to me when I look at the situation in North Korea and Venezuela. I see the same thing, because the US imperialists are doing everything possible to drive to war against both of your governments. We saw, just as we've recently seen the Venezuelan government uncovering false flag operations being planned to try to trigger the beginning of a war, and when they start their wars, we notice this increasingly with the imperialists today, they need to be able to show a narrative to the world that says the other side started it. And they're constantly trying to create conditions where they can say that. I mean, it's always them who starts it. But they try to create some kind of event or media package that they can sell to the world, and their media obediently transmits everywhere that says they started it. So we know that with for example, when Russia launched the SMO in Ukraine, our media went into hysterical overdrive. Vladimir Putin woke up yesterday and was a genocidal maniac and just decided to invade Ukraine. And the history of what had been going on in Ukraine for 30 years and 10 years and 8 years disappeared. And even the fact that the NATO forces themselves had been building up along the border of Donbass, getting ready to launch a major offensive, when finally Russia, having waited 8 years for a peace process that didn't work, said we're going to have to step in, and was forced to step in. But the narrative management in the West was, Russia just woke up and invaded its neighbor. They're crazy, you know. And we had the press full of articles about Vladimir Putin's psychology. You know, but that's part of the propaganda campaign, isn't it? How they persuade the public that the West, the imperialists, are the peace lovers, while they go around provoking all their wars. Well, we see them doing something last year, at the end of last year, we saw a string of provocations that were meant to trigger war between South Korea and North Korea. South Korea basically being also the USA, right? Between the USA and the DPRK, in such a way that the propaganda narrative could be spun that the DPRK just randomly started a war. And we see the same thing they're trying to do with Venezuela. First, there's lots of all this propaganda about how Venezuela is a terrorist state, is a drug dealing state. I mean, a bounty on the head of a president. You know, there's like they're playing in a gangster film. You see the low level of cultural awareness of the general population that the leadership thinks it can give them these kind of cowboys and Indians sort of, you know, good guys, bad guys, you know, TV, Hollywood narratives. It's risible, actually, what they say. It doesn't make any sense. Oh, if President Maduro is a member of this narco-trafficking terrorist gang, why did you suddenly only just notice this last week? What was he doing for the last 10 years? Why we never... Just yesterday.
A war on drugs, it's a war on oil. That's all.
Of course. But it's becoming more clear to people, isn't it? But we see also then the Venezuelan government has just uncovered a similar type of false flag plot that they wanted to shell one of their own ships in Trinidad and Tobago and say, oh, the Venezuelans did it, now we have to fight back. So you see, actually, in many ways, it's a sign of weakness, this need to present themselves as the peacemakers while they are obviously the warmongers. It's a sign of weakness that they need to do that. And of course, it helps us because the hypocrisy is so obvious and so easy to explain to people, in fact. And of course, once people start to see through the lies, it becomes very difficult for them to retain credibility in the eyes of their own people. So this is something we must always make sure we're helping workers to understand.